Hey there, mini wargamers. Just wanted to have another chat with you guys. It is late on a Saturday night, actually technically early on a Sunday morning, so I thought I'd take a little bit of time, answer some of the questions from the previous vlog, and show you guys some of the stuff I've been working on. So let's skip right on into some of the questions or comments. I didn't have tons of them. In fact, I would love some more questions. You can ask me whatever you like, anything about terrain or painting or videography. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this before, but I do have a degree in film and video production. So if you guys have questions about cameras, I don't know every camera under the sun, but I can look stuff up, try and answer some questions. Yeah, whatever. So let's skip into some of the questions here. First one was from Nightly NZ, and comments, I have to say I'm a huge fan of your epic mustache and your ability to at both painting and sculpting. Thank you very much for both the compliment on my facial hair and my artistic talents, I guess. My question to you would be around sculpting. Whenever I have attempted to make / sculpt an arm or a leg, I find that the texture of the armor / flesh comes out all wrong. I find it nearly impossible to get a smooth finish even with a large amount of water. Do you have any tips or tricks that I can use for a smoother finish? Okay, so when you are sculpting, and don't confuse the fact that I'm not actually a like an industry miniature sculptor. I've done lots of sculpts to change things or alter, modifications. Very few whole miniatures have I actually sculpted, so please understand that I am not a definitive source on this, but I can tell you in my experience at least, the best way to get smooth, round contours on any piece, I personally like milliput for getting precision pieces rather than green stuff, for two reasons. Green stuff doesn't really harden all that well very quickly. It will eventually harden, but it stays kind of rubbery for a while, and I don't particularly like that. And milliput is much easier to sand. So if you don't like the texture on something afterwards, you can take a small file or some microabrasion pads to it. There's all kinds of things that you can do afterwards. So you might want to just try that. Now if you want to get a smooth surface right out of the sculpt without having to do any modifications afterwards, I'd say take a look at the tools that you're using. If you're using all metal tools, I would switch over to clay shapers. They're essentially, it looks kind of like a tiny end of a pencil with the eraser on it, except they're usually shaped like a cone or a blade or a chisel, that type of thing. They're usually made out of silicone, which is a really soft, pliable rubber. It's not the tough rubber like an eraser would be made of. And it'll help you get smoother transitions between areas so that you're not accidentally leaving lines in it. Like if you're just using metal spatulas or the typical steel surgical looking tools that a lot of people use for just, I guess they're mostly just used for modifications, but they can be used for sculpting. But I really prefer silicone clay shaper tools, or just plain rubber. Vulcanized rubber ones are a little harder to use, but I do find them to be useful for a lot of stuff. So just take a look online at most any art supply or craft store, or hobby stores. I'm not sure who carries them. I know that I've found some of them in some local art shops here in North Carolina. And I know that there's some big sites out there that'll have them. Let's see, Cheap Joe's Art Stuff, Dick Blick. And just take a look for some art suppliers out there, and you'll find some tools that may help you. So on to the next one. Older Ben writes, great vid, keep them up. Thank you. I have a question about the new Chaos Codex. I know I know you are quite new to the army, but do you think that a Demon Prince of Khorne can have the artifact, and there's a whole bunch of symbols, Acts of Blinding Fury, page 69 and 91, because it states only models with the Mark of Khorne can wield it, so I'm not sure if that applies to Demons of Khorne, and obviously the FAQ is not going to be out for a while, so I don't know who to ask. Thanks for your time, and good luck with your Chaos Army. Well, thank you very much. Actually, the Errata just came out, I think, today. This is Sunday, the 22nd of October, and I just noticed that it got posted on Reddit, so I took a look at it, and it actually addresses that exact issue, and I've already made changes in my codex with some little post-it notes, so let me read you the actual entry here, and that was on page 69. So, the errata change is Acts of Blinding Fury, change first rule sentence to models with the Mark of Khorne or Demons of Khorne only. So now there's no question. Demon of Khorne can definitely take the Acts of Blinding Fury. And it also makes the change on page 91 with the subscript. Check out the errata. There's only a couple other things that got changed in there. While we're on that subject, let me just go over what all they changed. That was two of them, and then the other two, I believe, were in the elite section. Terminators, it was mostly just a grammatical change. Under the Chaos Terminators option, it used to say any Terminator may choose one of the following three options, and now it says any Chaos Terminator may choose any of the three following options. So basically saying you can take as many of them, I guess, as you can. Or you can take more than one from the following options. So that, let's see here. Yeah, so you could replace your power weapon with, or your melee weapon with one of the melee weapon options. You could replace your ranged weapon with one of the ranged weapon options. So you can upgrade more than just one thing. You can upgrade, both arms. Excuse me. The last thing was the Hellbrute's cost went down 5 points. So I don't really get that one. The other ones I totally understand, but that one's kind of a mystery to me. If any of you guys know why they would bother to change less than 5% of the points cost, I mean, I could totally understand it if it was even just 1 point and it was on something like, Chaos Space Marine. If they went down 1 point, that would make a huge difference, because you could take 50, 60 of them in a list, and that would be 50 or 60 points difference. But you could only ever take 3 Hellbrutes in a 1 Force Org list, so it's only a maximum of 15 points that would really change. I don't know. That's a mystery to me. Like I said, if any of you guys know why they would change it just 5 points, why they'd bother to errata that, I don't know. So, okay, the next question is Pirate Monkey. The dragon. Looks awesome in my opinion, except the missing tail, but has not done so well game-wise for me so far. Granted, I was playing against the Storm Raven, but Raptors with Mark of Khorne and Vet of IW against Marines are so much fun. I have 10 Warp Talons as well, but haven't had a chance to field them all yet, though I agree that they are very points heavy, but I can see them wreaking some havoc. Maybe making up their points before they die. I don't know yet, but I'll let you know when I find out. Please do. I turned mine into Raptors, so I'm not going to have any experience with Warp Talons, at least right now, and unless they unless I see the light and decide that they are the way to go and I buy more boxes of them, I don't really see me jumping into that at the moment. I've been finding over the years that the less expensive unit that can still do the same type of stuff for the same amount of points. Well, okay, let me rephrase that. If you've got a unit that costs twice as much per model, but can theoretically pump out twice the damage of a unit that costs half the cost, I'd rather have 2 units of 10 than 1 unit of 10, even if it's twice as deadly. And the reason for that is for the sheer fact that you can deny that many more objectives, even if you can't claim them if they're not troops choices. But, and I know that some of you are probably going to say, yeah, but you might offer up more kill points that way. Yeah, I guess it all depends on the size of the game. If it's a 4,000 point game, yeah, sure, well, let's take the models that are 30 points apiece. But for your average 1500, 1850 type game, I don't really see me taking a whole boatload of them. Okay. Next question, Thing 295. At the moment, I am about to start a theme chaos. I assume that's chaos army with lots of conversions, and my question is also with sculpting mainly hoods and cloaks. Sorry if you've done this in a video already. So you want to know how to make cloaks. The easiest way, I guess for the hoods part at least, sorry, my throat is really dry, is just to roll out a piece of green stuff into kind of a semicircular shape and fold it so that you've got the flat edge. So let's imagine here, we've got flat edge here, and then we've got the round part here. So this flat part here, we're going to wrap it around the head, and then you can pull the rest of it down on top. And if you're doing this over a Space Marine helmet head, I would definitely try this on a test model first, just to make sure that you're going to like the way it looks. But shave down the back of the head. It's going to look. It's hard to get green stuff thin enough to be as thin as cloth should be. So the best way to do this is to shave down some of the parts that are going to be under the cloth, unless you really feel like having it drape and contour to every detail, which I don't recommend. Hood is going to look strange if it isn't sort of flowing and billowing. Just take a look at some of the models for the Dark Angels and just see how those go. If you're wanting to do cloaks and tabards kind of like theirs, that's going to be a real mess to actually convert yourself. Let me look at your question again. So yeah, you're specifically asking about sculpting hoods onto these guys and cloaks. I would be more inclined to purchase some of the Dark Angels upgrade kits, or I'm not positive those actually exist. I may have just made that up. But there are Dark Angels kits that have the robed and hooded bodies, and I'd use those parts to convert instead of trying to sculpt my own hoods and cloaks. It's just going to be a nightmare. Honestly, you're going to want at least a few 10-man squads, and that is just going to suck up all of your time. And not to doubt your sculpting skills, but you're probably going to be more satisfied with the results if you use existing Games Workshop parts that already have those on there, and just shave down any of the iconography that is Dark Angel specific on the bodies. Use Chaos Marine arms, and I really think that you're going to have a much easier time getting something that you'll really like. But if you do want to go for it and try your hand at sculpting, I would definitely shave down a lot of the parts that you're trying to do cloth covering on them. So if you're going to cover it in cloth, shave it down first. Use a Dremel tool, or be careful and use a razor just to shave the surface down, just to take some of the bulk out of it. If you're wanting some more specific sculpting type stuff, leave a comment in this video and request that we do a sculpting tutorial. I can try to really kick up my sculpting skills, I guess, to try and do something a little bit more comprehensive as a tutorial. And if we get enough thumbs ups on that, then maybe Dave and Matt will let me do a full-blown tutorial on it. So if any of you guys want to see a tutorial on sculpting, specifically hoods and cloaks, just leave a comment, or if somebody's already made the comment, then just give it a thumbs up and we'll just see how it goes. I can't promise anything, but you know, if you guys show that you really want something, most of the time we can oblige. So next comment was Crocs, and it says, "Hey Austin, I love the videos, and it seems that you enjoy making the videos, which is nice to see. I do enjoy making these videos. I feel like I get to hang out with all you guys, and it really gives me an outlet for a lot of my wargaming creativity, which really tends to drive a lot of my free time and personal life." So anyway, back to the question. What do you think of Thousand Suns? They are expensive, but they are all AP3 bolters and a 4-up invuln save. And each unit has a level 1 psyker. I'm building a Tzeentch demon list right now, and thought about taking a 1K Suns allied detachment. Well, I honestly have not even thought about taking Thousand Suns, and I am not an expert on them right now, but from what you've told me right here, they seem like they would be one heck of a marine killing unit. Especially with a level 1 psyker in the group, they could take potentially one of the handful of abilities, or I'm sorry, psychic powers that are in the codex. That'd be a nice little extra something, but definitely 4-up invuln saves. That's nothing to scoff at. I mean, that's just amazing. And the fact that they've got AP3 bolters, and I believe they're still slow and purposeful, so they're moving through cover like nobody's business. Unfortunately, they can't snapshot, but those are the breaks. You can't be too good, or else you'd cost too many points. So, do I think they are worth the points? Let me take a look while we're chatting here, and I will give you a more complete answer. On a more aesthetic note, I've always been a fan of the Thousand Suns look and feel. Not to mention their fluff, from what I can remember of it, is pretty darn cool too. I've really been a fan of the whole, you know, they're so ancient and their armor is locked onto them. They've died inside their armor and they're just dust in there now. I could be misremembering that, but that's what I remember, and I always thought that was really cool and creepy in a kind of Full Metal Alchemist kind of way. So yeah, let's see. Yeah, they are rather expensive. I can't go into specific here, just copyright stuff, but yeah, they do have I don't know, they're significantly more expensive than a normal Marine. They are, yeah, almost, well, not almost double. They're under double, but I would say that I probably would not take an entire army of them. But if you're taking a 1,000-point detachment of them, then you can fit a fair amount of them in there. And that would be a few more psychers to sling some spells around, or psychic abilities rather. And yeah, I think that'd be interesting. I'd totally do that. That'd be a really fun and fluffy list if you get that together. I will definitely say that I think that you should go for it, just from an aesthetic and a fun standpoint. I can't speak to how competitive it would be, or if you're going to win any tournaments with it, but let's face it, if you're wanting to win tournaments, you're probably not going to build a list that you really want to play, unless you're only playing to win. 40K is just not geared towards competitive play, at least not in any really fun sort of way. It lacks the type of all-seeing balance that I've only really found and enjoyed in War Machine. And I'm sure there are plenty of other games out there that are really fair and balanced and fun in a tournament sense, but I just haven't played them yet. But yeah, anyway, back to this. Next question is from Horace, spelled with a 0 and a 2. I, too, often think that the hour I need to work is wasted time that could be used better. How many points did you roughly get by trading parts from your bits collection? I can't remember the specific phrase that the first sentence was in response to, but I can address the last one. With the exception of the brand new stuff that I just got, which is just 2 boxes of the Raptors and Warp Talons, I got all the rest of it in trade. So approximately 3,500 points of chaos. That's quite a bit, and I was just accruing it over a year and a half. I had no intention of playing it. I was actually thinking about refurbishing it and getting it all into one cohesive paint scheme and then selling it off. But with the new codex coming out, I figured I'd just keep it and try and play with it for a bit, see if I could get everything painted up, and I may yet sell it just because people are excited about Chaos right now, and if I don't get a real good chance to play it, then I may part ways with the Chaos Marines for the moment. Though I am very excited about the prospect of playing with it and perhaps playing against some other folks that have the same. Last question here is from, I'm not sure if this is supposed to be an acronym or if this is supposed to be just a name. It's UECL, but it's all caps, so I'm guessing it's an acronym. Alright, so the question is, I really like the look of the new Raptors, planning to be getting 20 if I can. Overall, the new codex has skipped the usual trap of you must get the new stuff to win and hasn't really changed much. Even with all the new additions, which I think have merely opened up new options, on other subjects, there are lots of horrible errors, demon weapons, ... But I feel overall this is an improvement. I haven't played a real game with the new codex yet, but the other players at my store seem to be using massive cultist waves backed by Chaos Space Marine specialists. Works pretty well. Well, that is heartening to hear because I am a really big fan of cultists. I think that would be really fun to play a very horde, swarmy chaos army with lots and lots of cultists. My only issue is that at the moment the only cultist models are coming in the Dark Vengeance box. And if you just keep buying Dark Vengeance sets, you're going to end up with a lot of other stuff that you don't need, like tons of Hellbrutes. And I know that you can go on eBay and just buy those specific ones, but I think what I'm going to do to remedy that situation, because I too would like to play with a whole bunch of cultists, is I think I'm just going to buy a whole bunch of other random kits from Games Workshop and probably just convert a whole mess of cultists out of whatever I can get my hands on. Probably some fantasy models. I'm thinking maybe Marauders of Chaos, and Imperial Guard, and I know some of you are probably going to jump all over me when I say this, but maybe even some Mantic models. The Corporation models from the Mantic Warpath line look pretty cool, and swapping some bits out here and there I think would look nice. I don't know, I always like pulling from other ranges when I can, just for head swaps or arm swaps and things. Just especially for this, where it's supposed to look really hodgepodge, and I think it would look nice. Plus, it'll be a really cool opportunity to do some conversions for the typhus plague zombies. I don't know if I'd ever really use him, despite the fact that I'm going to be doing a Nurgle, kind of half Nurgle, half Khorne army. I think it would be fun just to model those at the very least. You can take, I think, with the new errata. Oh, that's right. There was one more thing that got errated. I'm sure that some of you guys were screaming at the screen when I said that was it. But the plague zombies for typhus have been changed so that instead of saying that they can take no options, they can only take the option now to get more in the unit, because by the letter of the law previously they could only be in a unit of 10, because upgrade, it said that you could take no options, which the spirit of the law there was definitely to say you can't upgrade them with special weapons and things like that. You just get close combat weapons. But under the options was the option to buy more people for the unit, so you couldn't upgrade it past 10, which was the baseline. So now that's fixed. You can take a full 30-man unit of plague zombies, which is fun. Just one more way to get more cultists on the board. Sorry. So, on to some of the things I've been working on recently. I'll just tell you about the tutorials that I'm doing at the moment. I'm doing a non-metallic metal tutorial. I just put out a tutorial on, is a frag RPG thing. It just basically a frag missile impact. I had it on the side of the bastion, just trying to recreate some blast damage. And I started, I think I just said non-metallic metal, doing something really simple, just a non-metallic metal sword, simple technique, doing half of it with the airbrush, the other half with traditional brush. Excuse me. Air is really dry here for some reason. It's normally so much more humid, but the recent drops in temperature, I think that if we can kiss our humidity goodbye, I'm going to have to turn on the humidifier here. But, what was I saying? Tutorials. Right. Non-metallic metal, just is a power sword, and I did the blade with an airbrush and the handle with a traditional brush, just because that's the best way to do it in my opinion. But you guys will see that soon. The first part will be out as a free tutorial, and the however many parts past one will all be in the vault. So the other thing I'm working on right now, aside from those are the previous ones, I got started today on another set of tutorials. This is going to be another, I think, pretty large one, much like the airbrush, not quite as long as that. Just on washes, just everything I could think of. And I'm in the middle of working on this one right now, so if I haven't finished this by the time this video gets posted, leave some comments of things related to washes that you'd like to see discussed. I'm already planning on talking about different types of washes, acrylic, enamel, and oil. I want to talk about different application methods, basically full saturation, partial, and then just some detail lining, detail shading, color combinations, specifically with metallics and some other things, doing black cloth with wash, even doing an entire miniature painted only with wash and black and white paint, basically prime in black, and then for those of you who remember some of my older videos, I used to do a lot of zenith pre-shading, where you'd prime the miniature in black and then you'd spray white down on top of it with, you can do it with a rattle can, you can do it with an airbrush, but it essentially gives you realistic highlights in the base coat before you even start applying color, which is nice for even opaque colors, because even the most opaque of colors, if you're doing it right, is not going to be completely opaque on a single pass. You want to water it down, and then you've got a little bit of translucency there. But in this tutorial, I'm really trying to do a full tell-all, beginning to end, everything you need to know about washes but we're afraid to ask kind of thing. So there's a lot of good stuff going with that, and I've got some of the examples I did right here. These two were ones that I did. This is a base coat one where I essentially used washes in the base coat. Let's see if I can get this thing to focus. Hold on. Get the light going there. This might be a little tough to see. I'm going to try and hide my face here just so that this lighting is just atrocious. Hold on, let's see if I can. There we go. Anyway, hopefully this is showing up okay. But yeah, essentially using a solid color base coat and then washing the base coat and then applying detail over it. I also shot some footage of some of the washes that I applied subsequently to the other pieces, like the silver parts and some of the brown lining around the armor. The other one was one of the new cultists, and it's more or less what I was doing with this one was just a kind of the opposite of the Chaos Space Marine that I just showed you, where you apply the base coat and then a wash and you build detail on top of it. This one is you paint everything in flat colors and apply a single wash to the entire thing, and more or less we go over that in the video. But one of the ones that I really enjoyed doing was this guy right here, and this is not going to be super great quality showing up here, I guess, but this is a miniature that was painted completely with wash, and there we go. Okay, maybe that's a little better. So I'll give it a little spin here and you can see. But yeah, this is all wash, and in fact it's all Games Workshop wash, so this is going to be a particularly accessible style, I think, for anybody who has access to Games Workshop products. So just wanted to show you that, and then also got some other interesting things I've been working on, more specifically some Dark Eldar. Got a bunch of Dark Eldar stuff that I'm working on at the moment. These are actually mine. These guys, I'm just trying to get them all up to a nice tabletop quality. Not looking for Golden Demon winning just because I've got a ton of them. I think I've got 60 or 70 Cabalite Warriors, and then a couple squads of 10 Witches and a bunch of Raiders. I tend to do Raider Rush style with them. This is my old paint scheme with it's the standard codex stuff with the lining on all the panels. Looking at it now, this was done like right when these kits came out, so man, Maybe it's the dust in this room. It's killing me. Got those and a few Venoms, and got this right when it came out too, and enjoyed thoroughly painting this guy. But we'll get some close-ups of all these guys in hopefully coming out here soon, a battle report. We're gonna try out a battle report that I'll do from my remote location here. I've got plenty of people around that play Warhammer 40k, so we'll try out one of those, see how it goes, see if you guys like it. I hope I can do well enough to gain your favor in the battle report domain, and perhaps represent, as of now, fairly unrepresented faction. Dark Eldar was one of the first ones that I picked up once I got back into the game within the last few years here, and it's been the one I've hung on to the longest. I also had a Grey Knights army that I started right when that came out, and those are all gone now. But I've got one more thing to show you, and then maybe, just maybe, I'll stop rambling. I have this lovely pair of figures. We have a pair of Slaughterers from Forgeworld, the coveted land where all of the most delicious models live. And this is the Impaler version. He's got the Impaler cannon. I don't know how good that's going to be. I actually managed to get these secondhand, refurbish them myself. Actually didn't take too long. You can see my paint scheme is rather simple. This is the paint scheme that I go with for most of my chaos stuff. Just a simple black, then dry brush silver, and then some gold to give it a more of a tarnished look, and then applying lots of rusty pigments down into the cracks and crevices, and then I usually do a gray paint on some of the carapace here. And let me see if I can get this to focus completely on this. But I absolutely love these models. They are just gorgeous, lots of detail. I love the stalk that the head is on here. All the wires and cables and things. It just looks so wicked. It's fantastic. Really great stuff. Then we've got the one with the Impaler cannon here, and it's pretty much the same model, except we've got the grappling hook Impaler cannon, which rules wise seems kind of interesting. Not necessarily the best thing in the world. I may end up actually proxying this for just a normal Slaughterer, not the Slaughter Impaler. So yeah, really digging these, and I know they're not supposed to go on bases, but I'm really sorely tempted to just throw them onto some of the large flight style bases, like the new monstrous creature entries for the Chaos Codex. I don't think it'll necessarily change anything about the way that they play. It'll just give them more defined boundaries for charging. I think it'll just be better all around, and hopefully nobody will give me too much grief about putting them on a base, even though they're not technically supposed to be on bases. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to the opportunity to do a battle report for you guys. I hope it turns out well, and I hope that I'm able to do more of them in the future if you guys like them well enough. If you have any suggestions about Dark Eldar lists that you would like to see fielded, I'm still molding my lists, so I may yet have some personal budget to bolster my forces to the whim of the mini wargaming community. So anyway, just thought that I'd throw that out there, see what you guys thought. I love comments from you guys. Please leave some if you've got questions or perhaps some suggestions about Army List for Dark Eldar, or your favorite tactics, or anything you want to talk about. I'm open to whatever, so just drop me a line, and we'll see you in the next video. Until then, happy wargaming.